Okay, can you hear me now? Do I have sound now? Erica, can you text me back? I am not seeing the comments, which I can't see them on my Okay, thank you. So what I said before when I thought I had sound and I didn't, if you are joining me, would you put in the comments your city, state, and or country? Because I know some people had told me they were joining from another country. And if you are watching this on the replay, if you can put replay and then your city, state, and or country, so I'll know like who I had joining me from where, whether you were live or you watched it on the replay. But anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. I don't plan to be on here more than about 30 minutes. I want to share a little bit about me, give you a few tips, and then let you know about some resources that I have on my website, some of which are free and some of which you can purchase. So, and I'm going to try to stick to this 30 minutes. I'm very verbose. I'm a speaker. But I really don't want to take up much of your time, and I don't want to overwhelm you. So make sure you put in the comments city, state, and where you're from. And if you're watching on the replay, put replay, city, state, and or country. So before I tell you a little bit about me, let me tell you what's happened over the last 2 months, which may be how you found out about me. So a couple of months ago, I posted a 60-second reel that went viral. 2.2 million views so far. And 2 months ago, I had 1,900 followers. You know, I was just chugging along, trying to change the lives of teens. And all of a sudden, I think I have 20,700. So I gained almost 20,000 new followers in the last 2 months. And social media is kind of a double-edged sword. You know, it's been so interesting to recognize that people can watch a 60-second reel or a 60-second clip and make so many assumptions about what all you say. Like, I can only say something in 60 seconds. It doesn't mean that's all I say. So I get the pushback about, well, what about the boys? Because the clip that went viral was one for teen girls. Well, what about the boys? Why don't you talk to the boys? I do talk to the boys. It's just that in that clip, I was only talking to girls. And you can't give everything in 60 seconds. And then you have the people who comment and say, why are you talking to kids about sex? That's a parent's job. And you know what? I recognize a parent is the person who should have this conversation. And what I would say to that person who doesn't think I should be talking to kids because the parent should be talking to them, I would say, what if your child dates somebody, and even if you're having a conversation, which I think you should, what if your child dates somebody whose parent didn't have the conversation? Like, wouldn't you want somebody to be having a conversation with them to give them truth? Because they're definitely not getting it from the culture and the media. So the other thing is I don't see all the comments because that video that was 2.2 million views has thousands of comments. There's absolutely no way that I can read all the comments. Like, I love to engage and interact in the comments, but when it gets like so many comments, it would be a full-time job to sit and read every single comment and respond to every single comment. So if you've ever made a comment and I didn't respond, either I may not have seen it, which is probably most likely. I mean, not all of my posts have millions of views, and some of them, if they have fewer views, and if it happens to be that, you know, I'm happens to be online when the comment comes through, then I will be able to comment. But what else? Oh, here's the other thing. So the other thing that has happened is I have been inundated with messages in my inbox from parents that want advice. And I always say, whenever I go to a school to speak and when I leave the school, the same thing happens with my Instagram inbox or emails on my website from the students who heard me, who will say, I was too embarrassed to ask this question in class, but I need some advice. And so I always say, these kids think I'm like the modern day Dear Abby. And so now with the audience with parents, it's like the same thing is happening with parents. And I just don't have the bandwidth to respond, definitely not in depth. Now, if there's a question that's asked that's like I can give a quick answer, like I posted a video last week and it was about a girl who had daddy issues. I don't know if you saw that reel. And a mom said, what would I do if that's my daughter? And I happen to have 2 videos on YouTube that are already out there. One with a psychologist that was talking about if you're a girl without your father in your life, like here's some things you can do to get beyond that. I had a 30-minute teaching that I did on YouTube for girls whose fathers weren't there. I think it was a few years ago around Father's Day. And then I told her that I have a whole chapter in my book called that's devoted to that, and I have a session in my masterclass devoted to that. So that was a quick answer that I could give her, and there were free resources, and there were also resources that she could purchase. The other thing that has happened, so I have to get all these things out like right now or up front. The other thing that's happened is I've had a lot of people commenting or sending me messages saying, how do I get you to come to my school? And I would love to come to your school, but this is what I always tell parents. I talk about, well, I'll tell you in a minute more about what I do, but when it comes to a conversation about sex, which is what I've had a whole lot of success, like talking to teens, schools aren't always open to having a speaker come in and talk to their kids about that topic. So just know, send an email to info@JackieBrewton.com. We will respond. We'll send you information. But just understand that it may not be as easy a sell as you want. So here's the other thing that I do in those cases is I do presentations that are not sex related. So I do motivational speeches, motivational presentations. And much of what I talk about when I talk about sex with teens is so much bigger than sex anyway, that even if I came to the school and I wasn't allowed to talk specifically about sex, kids are smart. And they're smart enough to translate the information I give them just about making good choices. They're able to translate that into sex. So, even if you hit a wall at your school, just understand you might have a better success if you present it as this is a person that will help them make good decisions that will impact their academics. Because schools are measured on academics. They're not measured on whether kids get pregnant. And they tend to, finance and support the things that they're measured by. So that's just one tip for anybody who's saying, I want you to come to my kid's school. If you send this email in, we'll give you some tips on this may be a better way for you to present it, because sex is very controversial if you didn't know that, just in case you didn't know. So anyway, I think that's it I brought myself some notes. I do have, for the parents who are asking, for my advice and, can you tell me how to help my daughter with this, or I just found out this about my daughter. I do have an offering on my website for a one-on-one coaching session if for a limited number. But you will see that I say, make sure you send an email to info@JackieBrewton.com before you purchase that one-on-one offering, because we want to get some background. Because if it's something that I don't think that I would have any success helping with, then I don't want you to pay me to get advice on that. Because I've gotten questions and I really felt like the person needed more of a therapist than anything that I could do. So that's another option. See what else. Okay, so let's talk about who I am and how I do what I do. And thank you for those who have joined me and followed the page because you think that the information that I share is valuable. I appreciate that. Thank you for everybody who has engaged in the comments and made comments. I really appreciate those. So here is where you will find me most days. So, well, let me go back before I get to that. Let me just tell you. this is kind of my second career. My first career was in corporate America, and in 2000, like I always knew when I was in corporate America that wasn't the purpose for my life. Like I was an HR manager, but I knew that my purpose was bigger than that. And so I always mentored young people every time I lived in another city, and I would always mentor them, and I kept hearing regrets. And in many cases, the regrets had to do with sex. And I kept saying, wow, these young ladies are way too young to have these kind of regrets. I said, maybe if someone had told them, what they were worth, maybe if someone had told them what they deserved, maybe they would have made some different choices. And then I decided, why can't I be that somebody? So I made a decision in the year 2000 that it wasn't enough for me to be successful, that I wanted to be significant. And so it was kind of a recognition of a calling, and I gave myself a year to figure out a plan on how to leave corporate America. And I never left corporate America to talk to teens about sex. My plan was to start an after-school program for teen girls. I mean, that was the audience that I, had been mentoring. And I started my 501c3. I got it approved, and a month after, so in October of 2001, I left the Fortune 500 company, and I met less than 30 days later. I met someone at a conference who had a program in the schools in the county where I live. And long story shorter, I can have long stories. But anyway, she asked if I would be interested in going into the schools and talking to teens, because they had this program where they sent speakers into the schools. And I said, sure. I'm still thinking I'm still going to do my after school program. And it never happened because it grew. And so what I do is I go in. So I've been doing this for 21 years. So I left corporate America October of 2001. I think I taught my first class in a school February of 2002. So it's been 21 years. And then I expanded to another county where I actually go into classrooms. Now, I am not all that the kids hear. I consider myself, I'm a motivational speaker for youth. What I talk about probably 75 to 80% of the time happens to be sex. But I can talk about other things other than sex. And so I started out, I was just talking to 8th grade girls because somebody else talked to the 8th grade boys. So I was just talking to 8th grade girls, and I did that for probably 2 or 3 years. And then we expanded to high schools. And high school classes are co-ed classes. So when we go into high school classes, we go into health classes. And the health teachers teach them their sex ed curriculum. I come in, and I'm more of giving them the motivational part and the inspiration. And I'm the outsider. So I'm not the teacher. And it's so funny because the kids will say, I wish you were my teacher all the time. And I'm like, honey, if I taught you every day, you wouldn't like me either. I'm here for 2-3 days. We talk about sex. I'm not giving you a grade. What is not to like? So that's what I've been doing. And that's where, if you've seen the letters that you see me post, that's where those come from. And they're anonymous. The students they don't have to tell me all of their business, but they do. And I'll show you just some of so this is where you'll find me most days, just in the classroom, talking to teenagers. That's where I learn so much about how teens think. Because I talk about relationships a lot, and they say they can trust me because they don't think I would judge them. And then I also, as I mentioned, I also do assemblies across the country. And like the assembly on the right, top right, that was in Arkansas. And that was a school that said, you definitely cannot talk about sex. The teachers didn't like it because the teacher said, do they think those kids aren't having sex? But anyway, so that's So that's one of the presentations. And then this is what you have probably seen on my page a lot, are the letters. I've received over 17,000 letters. And this is top left corner. I'm in a classroom, right? I'm at Chick-fil-A reading letters. The bottom left, I just picked up these letters from a school. Bottom right, one of my favorite places, I call it my outdoor office. I read the letters there. But when I tell you that this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done, but it is also the most disheartening thing I've ever done, because I hear so many stories from kids, and I might do 4 90-minute classes, and I rarely get to eat lunch because students are lined up. They want to share their stories and get my advice at lunch. So when we talk about a glimpse inside the world of teens, here's the thing that I think breaks my heart is, I tell the kids all the time, I would not want to be a teenager today to save my life. I would never change places with them, because the culture has just made things so difficult. They have more access to sexualized content because of technology than we ever did in my generation. And I don't know what generation you may be in, but and I think one of the biggest threats that we have to teenagers and even onto their adult years of maintaining healthy relationships has to be pornography. That is a huge issue with teens. And we always thought it was just boys, but I have girls who have told me that they are addicted to porn, middle school, high school. And one of the things when I'm at a school and I'm in an auditorium, and this is a school where I do talk about sex, and I always say, what percentage of teens do you think watch porn? And some of them say 100%. Some will say 90, 80. And I'll say, do you think there's a difference between girls and boys? And I get interesting answers. Like, sometimes, they'll say, I think girls watch it more than boys. But anyway, I think that is a huge issue. Social media has done a job on all teens, but especially girls, as far as self-esteem and their mental health. And so they're comparing themselves to unrealistic images. But here's the thing that I think most adults would be surprised by. Because I always tell people, it is easier for me to convince a teenager that it is not the best choice for them to have sex than it is for me to convince an adult that teenagers can have self-control and discipline and not have sex. And I think because, kids know that the culture is jacked up. Like, they really are hungry for a better way, or what I call, they're hungry for truth. So some of the things that I think parents can do, number one, is, look at the time. Oh, wow. One of the things that I think parents can do, and I've put this in a post before, because is rules without a relationship equals rebellion. Relationship without rules leads to promiscuity. And I think positive parenting, where you have the best chance of helping your teens make good choices, is to have a relationship with the rules. And so you have the parents who, there are no rules, you do what you want to do. But then you also have the parents who say, every time the kids say, why can't I do something? You say, because I said so. And there's no relationship. So the best thing I think you can do as a parent is to try to develop a relationship. The other question I get a lot is, when should I have a talk with my child about sex? And I say, you definitely need to have it before you need to have it. You need to have it before they get in a relationship. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that parents make is that it becomes one big talk and they wait until they're talking about sex. And I think the best way is to start out talking about, how do you know when you love somebody? And I don't even mean romantic love, but what does love look like? When somebody loves you, what does it mean? It means they're selfless, not selfish. And you can start having age-appropriate conversations with your teen long before you have to talk to them about sex. The other tip that I have is, even when you're going to have a conversation about sex, I think one of the best places to have it is in a car. when you're not looking at them in the face, you're sitting beside them, you're traveling at high enough speed that they can't jump out. So you have a captive audience, and just have a conversation. One of the things that kids will tell me when I say, how many of you have had the sex talk with your parents? Very rarely is it more than 50% of the class. And then when I ask the kids, what was it like? The ones who have had the conversation, they say it was awkward. Kids really do want their parents to be their primary educator. They just don't want it to be awkward. And they say they just sprung it on me just out of the blue. So I have a free resource that I'll tell you about in just a minute, just on my website, of things that you just need to know before you have. And it's titled The Big Talk. And that's kind of a misnomer because there is no such thing as the talk. It has to be a continual conversation. What are some other, I'm trying to think of some other questions that I've gotten from parents. Like, one of the things that parents ask a lot is, like, how do I connect with my child? Like, my child, I don't seem to be able to have a connection. And there is a video, like, I post a lot of resources on my page that don't even come from me. I posted one just recently of a counselor. It was a video of a counselor who talked about one of the best ways to communicate with your child. Is he said, he uses a restaurant that we don't have here in Atlanta, but he has Hortons, I think it is. And he just says, let's go out for a milkshake. And so those kind of things where you just build a relationship where they know that you care, knowing what their love language is. Maybe I'll do a whole session on love languages in a Facebook Live. But a lot of times kids tell me a lot that they don't feel like their parents love them. And I know that their parents do. I just think they're not speaking their language. And so if your child's language is quality time and you think it's gifts or words of affirmation, like, you may feel like, how can they not know that I love them? I tell them all the time that I love them. Or I tell them how wonderful they are. But if their love language is quality time, you could tell them 24 hours a day, they're not feeling it because you're speaking a different language than they have. The next slide I forgot this was when I did an assembly at a school. And I asked the students, I'm not sure which question this was. The first question I asked is, how many of you know somebody who is sad or depressed at least 50% of the time? And half of the audience stood up. The next question I asked was, how many of you know a teenager who has either thought about or attempted suicide? And a third of the audience stood up out of all those kids. That breaks my heart. So let's talk about some of the resources because we're almost out of time. Y'all, I am sorry, but I cannot see the comments. So if somebody's asking me a question, I'll just have to answer the question in the comments once this is over. So here's some free resources that I have online. I have a ebook for parents called 7 Things Every Parent of a Teen Needs to Know Before Having the Talk. Again, there's no one big talk. Then I have a guide that is the letter every mom should write her daughter. And this can apply to sons as well. And then there's 10 ways to raise a daughter who is fab. So let me go back and tell you one of the things that you will notice on my site. For years, I talked mainly to girls. And my avatar, as they call it, was moms of teen girls. So I created all of my resources for moms of teen girls up until about a year and a half ago. Maybe about a year and a half ago, when I first developed a master class for teen boys, and then I wrote a book for teen boys. So I will share things because I do co-ed classes in high school. So I do have tons of letters from guys. But if you notice a pattern that I'm talking about girls a lot, it's not that I don't think boys need this same message. And I think people misunderstand that. It's just that that's who I talk to the most, because when I do 8th grade classes, I only talk to girls. I do talk to co-ed in high school, but 8th grade I only have girls. And I talk to more 8th graders than I do high school students. So if you go to my website, if you look up at the top, it says Home, About, Speaking, and Parent. There's a drop-down box. And there's a tab where you can go and get the Fab for Moms. That's the checklist, how to raise a daughter who's fab. Fab stands for focused, authentic, and brave. And then the next one is the letter to teen daughters. That's on my website. Here are other resources available on my website. I have a book for teen girls, a book for teen guys. I have a DVD, which is a 1-hour presentation for teen girls, the sex talk every teen girl needs to have, and one for teen boys, a sex talk every teen guy needs to have, and then a 90-minute DVD, the sex talk every parent needs to have. The DVDs are on sale. I have the digital version for the parents and the girls. I haven't gotten one uploaded for the boys as of yet. So then I have my academy called Jackie B Academy, and that's where all of my e-courses and master classes are housed. And so I offer these resources for teens. I have a dating boundaries one-on-one virtual guide, and there's 7 videos about how to set boundaries, because one of the things that I recognize is that one of the reasons why so many teenagers have sex, not just girls, they don't know how to set boundaries. And things get so far that they just got out of control. They say, I didn't go there planning to have sex. Things just got out of hand. We got caught up in the heat of the moment, and it just happened because they don't understand the need to set boundaries. And I tell them in the class, I say, the time to demonstrate self-control is not in the bedroom. The time to demonstrate self-control is way before you get to the bedroom. And so in this e-course, the Dating Boundaries 101 e-course, there are 7 videos, why you need boundaries, how to set boundaries, and then we talk about boundaries in 4 areas. People boundaries, who are you going to date? Places boundaries, where are you going to go? Where should you avoid? Physical boundaries, how far is too far? Media boundaries, what are you going to let enter your eye gates and your ear gates? What are you going to consume? And then what do you do if your boundaries aren't respected? And so girls don't have a plan, because when they say, I didn't go there planning to have sex, this is what I say to them. It is not enough for you not to plan to have sex. You must have a plan on how not to have sex. Because even if you didn't have a plan to have sex, what if the other person did? The person who's going to get what they want is the person with the plan. And the other person is the only one who had a plan. So at the end of that e-course, there is a 1-pager where they actually write down, it's beautiful too, beautifully designed. They write down, here's my game plan. Here is where my boundaries will be in all 4 of these areas. So I have that one, and then I have the 7 Secrets Revealed Masterclass for teen girls, and I have the Boys to Men Masterclass for teen guys. And the 7 Secrets Masterclass for teen girls basically came out of the pandemic. It was one of the benefits of having to go virtual. When I knew that I couldn't be in the classroom in person, so what I did a live 4-week masterclass where on Monday and Thursday nights, I went through a chapter of the book each night, and then the 8th one was a recap and Q&A. And in that masterclass, the thing that I love about it is they don't just hear from me. Like, I interviewed a teen dad, a teen mom. I interviewed 2 college students. I interviewed a dad, so girls who don't have fathers in their lives. I have a whole session on They Can't Replace Your Father, which is one of the chapters in the book, where my friend Michael, who has teen daughters, talks to them like, this is the conversation that you didn't get from your dad, but you can get it here. I have couples who were virgins when they got married, couples who, neither one was a virgin, but they waited. So I have that. They get to hear the consequence side, but also the benefit side. And so let me read you a letter or an email that I got from a mom who watched this online, because now it is on demand. You can watch it anytime. She says, we just finished watching the first session of your 7 Secrets Revealed Masterclass, and you are amazing. I wasn't sure how my daughter would respond, but she is looking forward to reading your book and also watching other sessions. It was so sweet. She said, I wish I could meet her. Aw. So you made a fabulous impression. It's really great to have another woman who is successful and caring to say the same things that I'm saying to her. And it packs a real punch when she hears the words of other teens too. My daughter is 13 and getting ready to start high school in the fall. We currently homeschool with a local Christian group of classical conversations. I'm using your book and videos as part of my daughter's health curriculum for this year in the 8th grade. I introduced her to your material through your video because I thought it would be a very personal approach, and that she would connect with you and then want to read your book, which is fabulous. I was right. I'm so grateful for the relaxed and comfortable way that you talk about these topics. In addition to empowering and educating young women, you're also modeling and normalizing comfortable conversations around difficult subjects, a key life skill that many adults have not mastered. I absolutely loved that feedback from that mom. So then I got, that it's on demand. You can purchase, you don't have to purchase them in order, don't have to have read the book. There are 8 sessions. You can purchase one at a time. You have 24 hours to watch them. So make sure you don't purchase it until you're ready to watch it. And then I got this message from a mom whose son did the Boys to Men Masterclass. She says, OMG, the Boys to Men Masterclass session is so good. My husband and son are watching the replay. The dialogue between them is amazing. My 11-year-old is ear hustling. I'd never heard of that. Excellent presentation. So, and this is the thing I love about the boys' book. I love both of the books, but I just don't think there are a lot of resources out there for teen boys. And that's what I'm hearing. So, and I also know that people try to discourage me from writing a book for teen boys because they say boys don't like to read. And there may be some truth to that. So I had to do that book differently than I did the girls' book. So that one, I made really short chapters and I made the font bigger so it doesn't look overwhelming. So there are 20 chapters in the book. There are 10 chapters and it's divided into 2 different sections. The first section is the 10 best reasons why teen guys wait to have sex. The second section is the 10 worst reasons why teen guys choose to have sex. At the end of every chapter, there are 5 self-reflection questions that they can take the material that they just read and internalize it. It's also great that people can use it for a curriculum with a youth group for boys or a teen group for boys. And you basically have a 20-week curriculum, like right there. So that is the resources for teens. And then I have these resources available online for moms. 2 e-courses. One is 10 ways to raise a daughter who's fab, and then how to have the tough conversations with your teen daughter. So let me tell you, the 10 ways to raise a daughter who's fab, basically there are 10 videos, and they're anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes long each. At the end of and FAB stands for Focused, Authentic, and Brave. At the end of every video, there are 3 practical tips that parents can use immediately to help their daughter increase her confidence, her self-esteem, all of those things that makes a girl focused, authentic, and brave. And before I show you a testimonial of somebody who watched that video, let me tell you about how to have the tough conversations. So that one is 3 video clips, and you can watch them with your daughter together or separately. I would encourage you to watch it first and then get your game plan on what conversation you want to have with your daughter. But here are the 3 tough conversations that moms have told me they have a difficult time having. One is a conversation about whether they've been raped or molested. And I can't tell y'all, it breaks my heart how many times I've had to report that because they've never told anybody, or how many letters that I get from girls anonymously who tell me that has been their experience. How to have the tough conversations about rape or molestation, about pornography. And another one that I hear often is moms will say, how can I tell my daughter not to have sex as a teenager when she knows I had sex as a teenager because I got pregnant with her as a teenager? And they say, I feel like I'm a hypocrite. And my response is, when you tell your daughter, don't do as I do, that's a hypocrite. When you tell your daughter, don't do as I did, that's a teacher. And we can't allow poor choices that may have been made in an area to keep us from being able to guide our children in that area, because they need to learn. They need to learn, that they don't have to make all the mistakes themselves. So this is a feedback from a mom who watched the how to raise a daughter who's fab. She said, I watched all 10 videos and they were wonderful. Every single one had amazing information and practical tips. As a mom of all girls, one being 16 now, I love that you literally give the what to do related to the specific topic that you're talking about. Having the practical tools with how to handle these vital things to raise my daughter to be fab is awesome and so helpful. You make it doable without my daughter feeling like she's getting another lecture. LOL. Even the practical tools that you give us moms with how to suggest things to our husbands to help them understand the importance of connecting with their daughters was helpful. In a world that is full of lies and deception, specifically towards our daughters, we have to do better. You're helping equip moms to do that, and I genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart. This needs to be heard by every mother everywhere so that these beautiful, worthy, and significant young girls will be empowered, equipped, and encouraged and challenged to be difference makers. So that is another resource that I have for parents. I'm over my time. I'm so sorry. Let me see, what else did I have down? So here are some ways that you can help change the narrative and culture for kids. Because this is one reason why I have a blog that I write blog posts for. Haven't been as consistent as I probably should have been. But if you want to get an email versus making sure that, just hoping that you come across when I have something coming up because you see it on my Facebook feed, then you can sign up for my blog post where I send out actual emails to inform you of the things that I have going on. But you can also purchase resources for teens other than your child. The other thing is that because of that video going viral and my number of followers increasing, I now have been monetized. So now anytime you react to my post, Facebook pays me whenever there's any reaction, whether there's a like, comment, or a share. So whenever you have the opportunity, make sure you like, comment, or share, because a percentage of the money that's going to come from that, I will be using to donate books and other resources to organizations with kids that need the information, but they can't afford to get the information. As a matter of fact, I just donated a case of books to a ministry that I support in Uganda. And I sent girls' book and guys' book. The ministry is called She Learns, that they were only working with girls. But now that I've sent them boys' books, I just got an email from the founder of the ministry the other day, and he says he wants to start a morning devotional with boys, because he had one on Thursday mornings with girls, and he wants to start one on Tuesdays with boys. And he said, I will be using your book to go through in this morning devotional time with these boys. And it's 20 chapters. He's also requested that I join them once a month, once on Tuesday, once on Thursday. They do it at 6:30 in the morning, which is 11:30 p.m. my time. So pray for you, girl. But anyway, so if you like, share on and I don't know if there's a way, somebody said, I don't know if you can do it, that you can go to the follow button or like button and put get notifications so that you'll get notified every time I post. I don't know. But anyway, I have gone over my 30 minutes. I did get started a little bit late. So sorry about that. If you have comments that you have written in the chat, I can't see them right now, but I will comment as soon as I get off this live. Thank you so much for joining me, and let me know. I can't make any promises. Let me know if there are any specific topics that you would like for me to do a live on. Can't promise anything, but we'll see if I can do this a little bit more regularly. This was just the first time of me introducing myself, because I have so many new people who probably are wondering, who is this woman? And how does she get this impact from this response from kids? And it's funny, I tell people, I told y'all I'm a speaker, I'm long-winded. I'm trying to get off of here. So I tell people, I am actually shocked a lot by when I read letters from kids. And part of it, I have put in a ton of work, like trying to hone my craft and figure out how do teens respond, and reading articles and getting video clips that I can show them that they can relate to, that I can make it where it's something that they relate to. And I'll just tell you, part of it is just a gift. And I used to think that if I say I have a gift, like it sounds arrogant, but then I was like, no, because a gift means something you didn't work for, you didn't earn. So I do, part of it is just that I have been given a gift that I am humbled by, but grateful for, to be able to reach kids that makes them think differently. Like sometimes they'll say, how did you get so smart? Like, you have a degree in psychology or something? Like, how do you know us so well? And part of it is like, I'm like, it's not that deep. My brain is fully developed and yours isn't. It's not that deep. But I'm just grateful. Like I said, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, but also the most disheartening. But if I go in and if one kid makes a different decision based on hearing anything that I say, it's worth it. I know when I get off here, I'm going to think of something that I should have said, that, oh, I meant to tell them this, I should have said that. But anyway, thank you so much for taking out your time and joining me tonight. And if you are watching this on replay, again, put in the comments the word replay and put your city, state, or country so I can see the reach of this live. And let me know if you would like for me to do more. Thank you. Have a good night.